My name's Lori Van Egren, and I am the Interim Associate Provost for University Outreach and Engagement, and I want to welcome you to the third annual Michigan State University Outreach and Engagement Awards Ceremony. University community engagement has the potential to create transformational change that makes a difference in addressing large-scale problems and society's most challenging issues. At Michigan State University, we've embraced an approach to engagement that arises directly from our land-grant traditions and values, an asset-based, action-driven approach that places a premium on collaboration with and within communities to identify problems and find solutions. Engaged research, engaged creative activity, engaged teaching, and engaged service are driven by questions and concerns collaboratively identified with the community. Such partnerships are reciprocal, building on the expertise and assets of both community and university collaborators to co-generate solutions that benefit all partners and often, usually, hopefully, typically, society as a whole. In this way, community-engaged scholarship takes on the difficult but essential work of growing an ever-increasing capacity for discovery, analysis, innovation, and use with and within the community. Given its importance, it is therefore altogether appropriate that MSU create a space for recognizing and honoring those whose work reflects the best of this university's community-engaged scholarship and university outreach. Today, we welcome you and thank you for joining us in paying tribute to members of the faculty, student body, and wider community whose outstanding efforts to connect university knowledge with community knowledge serve to benefit us all. I encourage you to read the descriptions of their work in the awards ceremony program booklet at your seat. I think you'll agree that these individuals and partnerships are worthy of the special attention that we've provided here today. I'd now like to introduce Dr. June Pierce-Hewitt, MSU Provost and Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs.
Well, thank you. Thank you all for being here, and thanks for giving me just a moment to say thank you to all of you. I have to apologize before the thank you because I'm going to have to slip out before the real celebrating begins because somehow I'm triple booked today. But I thank Lori particularly for giving me a chance to at least stop by and say thank you for the work that is being celebrated this afternoon. I think most of you know the story of Michigan State University well enough to appreciate that outreach and engagement, engaged research, community-based engaged research is really the legacy of this university. It not only helps define us, and I believe it does, but it also, I believe, describes well who we are and what we care about and helps demonstrate, I think on a daily basis, the values of this place, that we are committed to doing work that matters in places that matter and learning from people that matter. And you represent those individuals today. For our faculty who have been engaged and students, I honor your work and celebrate what you've been able to do. For our community partners, thank you for all that you've taught us. We every day learn from those who work most closely with us, and we are proud to say that we have colleagues across communities, across the state, across this country, and around the world, and we're richer for it. I want to, again, congratulate today's winners. You represent, you're not really winners, are you? Do you call yourself winners? I think you should, but for those who are being held up today, and for the work that's being highlighted. Some of you have done remarkably innovative things. Some of you have done really hard stuff that isn't done, but you're in there working. Some of you have spent your life doing this stuff, and you're not done yet, right? Right, all right. I wasn't leaving until I heard that right. Even though I can't be here to applaud, I want you to know that I enjoyed reading about what you've done, what you've accomplished, what your goals are, and all that you intend to do in the roles that you have. So Thanks for giving me a moment to tell you how much you're appreciated. Michigan State University is, again, all of you know, has often led the national conversation about engaged research, and that's important. We want to be known for what we value and what we care about, but at the end of the day, it's not so much what we talk about, but what we get done, and you represent all that has been done. Thank you.
Thank you, Provost Hewitt. We're so pleased you could join us to share your thoughts on this occasion with our award recipients, partners, guests, and everyone here who cares about university community collaboration. A great university values and nurtures the optimism, enthusiasm, commitment, and energy of its students. We begin our recognitions today by introducing some remarkable MSU students who've demonstrated tremendous commitment to service learning and community engagement. They've each volunteered hundreds of hours of their time and collectively represent thousands and thousands of hours of support to our local communities. Dr. Denise B. Maybank, Vice President and Associate Provost for Student Affairs and Services, wanted very much to be here today, but because of a scheduling conflict, she's instead requested that we share her recorded congratulations. So please turn your attention to the screen.
Good evening. I am excited to join you via video for this auspicious event. Tonight we are honoring 5 amazing Spartans. Each year, we acknowledge the service of students through the Spartan Volunteer Service Awards. 87 students were acknowledged for the 2019 period. Tonight, the 5 students who will be introduced to you are coming because they have exceeded the usual. They have served 400 plus hours in community service. They are outstanding Spartans, undoubtedly. The 5 students will be given an award of $200 each to designate to a particular community partner, and they get to make that choice. So their service has paid off for the community. In just a moment, you will hear from Malik, who is one of the 5 distinguished Spartans. He has an amazing story, and I don't want to steal his thunder, so I won't tell you more about him. But he will amaze you, undoubtedly, as he represents the 87 and the other 4 that are being acknowledged with him this evening. I, as the Vice President and Associate Provost for Student Affairs and Services, always acknowledge the 50,351 amazing young people who are a part of our community. I remain peacock proud of the accomplishments they offer every day, and today is no different. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for who you are, and thank you for making us all look so good.
So our thanks to Dr. Maybank for doing a video to express her feelings about the great students that we have here and their intense commitment to our communities. Now please welcome Christopher C. Keaton, Program Coordinator for Co-Curricular Community Engagement Programs at the Center for Service Learning and Civic Engagement.
Thank you, Lori. The 2019 Spartan Volunteer Service Award is a presidential recognition that celebrates MSU students' commitment to service learning and community engagement. It is conferred upon students who volunteer for 100 or more hours over the course of a year. As Dr. Maybank indicated, we had 87 students receive the award this year, and they were recently honored at the university's annual commemoration of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Today, we recognize 5 students who worked with their community partners for the largest number of volunteer hours. Please join me in welcoming Lauren Marie Caramango. I know I messed up your name, Lauren. I'm sorry. Malik Amir Lee Mix. And I'm sorry, I'm not following script. So Lauren she's from the College of Natural Science, and she volunteered 400 hours. Malik is from the Eli Broad College of Business, and Malik served 400 hours as well. We have Brooklyn Taylor Rue. Brooklyn is from the College of Arts and Letters, and she volunteered 436 hours. Samantha Page Porosky. Samantha is also from the College of Natural Science, and Samantha served 492 hours. And last but certainly not least, Sujit Bajaj. He also is from the College of Natural Science, and he provided a total of 500 hours of service. Because of their busy class and work schedules, obviously 2 of the students couldn't be here tonight, but please join me in giving them all another round of applause. As a representative of these outstanding students, I would now like to ask Malik Amir Lee Mix to say a few words. Malik.
How everybody doing tonight? Good. Y'all all look good, so. So like Casey said, my name is Malik Amir Lee Mix. I'm a senior here studying marketing in the Eli Broad College of Business. And it's with full admiration that I say thank you to the Outreach and Engagement Office for awarding me and over 80 other Spartans with the Volunteer Service Award. So can we please give a round of applause for all of that hard work? So, y'all can hear me, right? Okay, perfect. So 4 years of patience, trial, and triumph, from leading student organizations to barely making it to macroeconomics. As every Spartan can attest to, we will make it happen. My introduction to service was not easy. It was impossible for me to see myself as someone who could help others because I simply didn't know how to help myself. In May 2016, I received an email from my professor who stated that the research that I conducted was approved and adopted by the National Ovarian Cancer Coalition. And in September of that same year, our award went national, and we were able to implement our program into every university and around the United States. And now, during September of every single year, we will have the Sidewalk Chalk Art Campaign, which allows students to promote ovarian cancer awareness. And just wait, things got even crazier for me, someone who doubted myself in the beginning. As of November of 2017, I had one conversation with my best friend in our dorm. We were eating ramen noodles, and we wanted to know how we could help our community. By the way, I am a Detroit native. So we wanted to know how we could give back. And instead of us coming up with just, hey, let's just like go and do this and let's do that, we had this crazy idea to create a tax-exempt foundation called Our Young Leaders Foundation. And today, we are sustaining communities through scholarship, youth development, and neighborhood revitalization. So much so that we've raised over $1,500 in scholarship awards that we will be giving out to students around the city within this coming month. So receiving this award today goes beyond just me receiving another title. I applied to this award in hopes that I could serve as an example for people who may not think that they can or who may not feel that they are not enough, people who represent the other voice, because we have to learn how to build our bridges across each other's differences. So when we talk about young men and young women, non-binary people who feel like they don't have enough, service does not start with what you have. It starts with you. Most importantly, service starts with not your circumstances, but the way that you smile at someone and tell them that you will see it through. So remember this, your failure is your best teacher. Your doubt is not an excuse, it's a crutch. And break that crutch because you have legs to walk. Upon graduating this May, thank you, Jesus, finally, I plan to expand my philanthropic endeavors more into the greater Lansing area. And on a different note, I will be starting my first full-time grown-up job with Whirlpool Corporation. So I finally made it. And to wrap everything up, the amount of work that we have contributed to our community was obviously good enough to be recognized by Forbes and to get me on the list of the under 30 scholars. So as of May, I will not only be walking away with my Bachelor's of Arts in Marketing, but I will be walking away with the promise that I've instilled in my young, upcoming generation. And again, thank you to the university and Outreach Engagement for this prestigious award. And for my favorite month of the year, I want to leave you all off with this quote. "The walls can never encircle or hold down the idea of the people." Dr. Huey Percy Newton. Thank you.
Thanks, Malik. Let's give Malik one more round of applause. In honor of their commitment to serving the community, University of Outreach Engagement was so graciously and donated $200 to each one of these 5 students to pick a nonprofit of their choice. Each of the students, including the following organizations. So these are the 5 organizations they chose: the Howell Nature Center, Our Young Leaders Foundation, the Origami Brain Injury Rehabilitation Center, and North Star Reach. Thank you.
The Distinguished Partnership Awards recognize highly engaged and scholarly community-based research, teaching, creative activity, and service collaborations that positively impact both the community and scholarship. Recipients are selected annually as the best in each of these categories. The best, wonderful, in these categories. From among the nominees for the Michigan State University Community Engagement Scholarship Award, for which they are also named as finalists. I'd now like to introduce Sonia Gunnings-Moten, Associate Dean of Support Services and Engagement and Associate Professor, Department of Counseling, Educational Psychology and Special Education, College of Education, and Senior Advisor to the Provost, who will present the first of our 2019 Distinguished Partnership Awards.
Thank you, Lori. Can you tell I'm having a panic attack? I left my glasses in the car, but I got this. The Distinguished Partnership Award for Community Engaged Teaching recognizes a university community partnership for significant, contextually responsive, scholarly, and impactful collaboration in sharing knowledge with learners through formal or informal arrangements, whether credit-bearing, non-credit, guided by a teacher, or self-directed. Such work may take many forms, including but not limited to producing materials to enhance public understanding, translational communications for specific or general audiences, non-credit and informal classes, seminars, workshops, and conferences, educational enrichment programs, pre-college and youth educational programs, occupational instruction and licensure programs, and curating managed learning environments such as museums, libraries, and gardens. In recognition of its remarkable capacity building efforts in Michigan's largest city, I am pleased to present the 2019 Distinguished Partnership Award for Community Engaged Teaching to the Community Engagement and Participatory Modeling of Urban Food Systems Partnership. Accepting the award is Laura Schmidt-Olabisi, College of Agriculture and Natural Sciences, and her partner, Food Plus Detroit. You should have given me your glasses. Congratulations. How do you want to do this?
So thank you. It's a great honor to receive this award. And I want to thank the Office of Outreach and Engagement and Michigan State University for recognizing this important work. I'm just going to say some very brief things. So last week I had the privilege of speaking on a panel on engaged science at the American Association for the Advancement of Science conference in Washington, D.C., the largest scientific organization in the world. And the room was packed full of scholars interested in doing engaged research. The National Science Foundation just released a $12 million new call for grants that is specifically working in collaboration with communities. So the point I want to make here is that engaged research, engaged teaching, is not some kind of secondary science. It's critical to the science of the 21st century. And younger scholars are interested in moving into this field, and Michigan State is a leader. So I just want to champion what all of you in the room are doing, and thank you for this opportunity.
Good evening, everyone. This partnership and learning journey with Laura began in 2014 with an invitation from Miles McNall, Jessica Barnes, and Bob Brown to join them at a table to explore planning a modeling conference. At the time, I had absolutely no foundational understanding of what systems models were or what their value is. That's where Laura came in. Her explanation to me was very clear and compelling. I immediately saw the opportunity for community leaders and residents to improve the way that we work and improve our outcomes by working in collaborative ways with modelers like Laura and like my friend Kyle Mehta here, who was at the time a grad student. Our first endeavor was to plan a track for that modeling conference specifically for non-modelers, creating a place for community folks like me to get exposed to the power of modeling. Working with Laura and Kyle to convert the causal loop diagrams created with community leaders depicting food insecurity in Detroit into a model was my deep dive into that world. Hosting 20+ community members at the conference was the next. The grace and respect that I experienced working with Laura and others from MSU helped to make good on the promise to make the experience meaningful for the community participants. As amazing as that was, it was really how Laura and Kyle and I worked together to develop the model for urban livestock in Detroit that actually set a baseline for the high expectations that I now have for what it really looks like and what it can look like to work in partnership with university. Our relationship is one of mutual regard, respect for our respective knowledge and skills, intentionality in how we establish understandings about how we work together when in community, and how we collaboratively built the model. It led to a quality relationship, which actually facilitated both mine and Kyle's learning in the process. This one relationship between myself, Laura, Kyle, and others created a desire that set me on a path of seeking other amazing community university relationships, and partnerships. Being sold on the absolute belief that these types of partnerships, they hold the power to increase the possibilities of doing amazing work that really matters in our communities. I want to thank you for acknowledging the importance of this way of working. It works, and it works well. I appreciate the opportunities that I've experienced to date, and I look forward to the many, 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 many more ahead. Thank you.
Let's congratulate the partners of the Community Engagement and Participatory Modeling of Urban Food Systems again. I'd now like to welcome our next presenter, Jeffrey W. Dwyer, Director, MSU Extension, Senior Associate Dean for Outreach and Engagement, College of Agriculture and Natural Resources, and recipient of the 2017 Distinguished Partnership Award for Community Engaged Service.
Thank you, Sonia. I have the privilege of presenting the Distinguished Partnership Award for Community Engaged Service, which recognizes a university community partnership for significant, contextually responsive, scholarly, and impactful collaboration in the utilization of scholarly expertise to address specific issues, ad hoc or long-term, identified by individuals, organizations, industries, or communities. Community engaged service may take a variety of forms, including such activities as technical assistance, consulting, policy analysis, expert testimony, legal or other professional practice-based advice, diagnostic and clinical services, human and animal patient care, service on advisory boards, and disciplinary-related service to community organizations. For its innovative approach to improving productivity for diverse groups in the workplace, I am pleased to present the 2019 Distinguished Partnership Award for Community Engaged Service to the Resilient Monroe Green Map Initiative. Accepting the award is Kelly Salco MacArthur, College of Arts and Letters, and her partner, the River Raisin Institute of Monroe, Michigan. Please come to the stage.
This is so exciting for us. I come from the River Raisin Institute. We are a small nonprofit in the Western Lake Erie Basin. We're headquartered in Monroe, Michigan. And we are, first of all, I'm so impressed that the university has this award program, because being such a small nonprofit, our primary way of working is collaborating with other like organizations with mission alignment. And so when and we focus on environmental education, but we refer to it as place-based education. So it goes beyond the environment. It goes to the social, the history, the cultural place that we're in within this Great Lakes region. We also focus on ecological stewardship, so we are working on impaired watersheds, and we are educating around sustainability awareness. So when we had the opportunity, or we heard about the opportunity to meet with Kelly, we were delighted because being small, We have a small budget, and we rely on a lot of grants. And so we began talking and brainstorming about what might be something that we could collaborate together as two partners, bringing different sets of skills and different needs. And so we began that process. We brainstormed, and we decided on a very practical tool, which is the Green Map, which I brought a few. If anyone wants to look at them, this is a practical tool for our partners, our co-inhabitants, if you will, in this watershed. And it introduces the community to green mapping, which is an international program, as well as introducing people and showing people where local, natural, healthy resources are that are green, both food and other cultural resources. And so they're all on the map, which will open up just like a regular map. And then there's a sketchbook for engaging the communities, particularly the schools and students and families, in identifying additional green resources in the community. So we had a lot of fun. We did a lot of work. And I just want to say this was a project that we had wanted to do for a number of years. And we were never able to do it because we just didn't have the resources. Because we're small, we didn't have the expertise, we didn't have the money. And so we were so pleased and so excited. And we launched this for the whole county of Monroe in 2018 at their Earth Day Expo. And since then, I've given out thousands of these to the community. And it's now evolved into a broader project for the entire county of Monroe on a food access, healthy food access, food desert, food pantries, and so on. So we are now working on another grant through that through the Monroe Community Foundation to make it go even further. So we're very honored, we're very excited to have this distinguished award from the university, and we're so delighted that we can continue to work with Kelly.
Thank you so much to the Office of Outreach and Engagement. I am so honored to be here. I have to thank my chairs. Deb Feltz last year recommended that I go up for this award after hearing about the exciting project that I had been working with the River Raisin Institute on for the past few years. And Karin Zitzowitz has really supported me through this process. It is so great to find myself at an institution that recognizes this kind of work. My creative research for over a decade has focused on environmental concepts and in an effort to create empathy and incite pro-action on behalf of the viewers and the participants. But I recognized that my work was staying in galleries, exhibitions, design publications, conferences, competitions, and I really had a urge to get it out there and see the practical impact of what I'm so passionate about. And I wanted to be more focused with my efforts. So I was very lucky to be connected through the MSU network, an Earth Day event years ago, circuitously connected me with the River Raisin Institute, and I find myself working with the community of Monroe. The green map that we created, the entire initiative reached Frenchtown Township, Monroe Township, and the city of Monroe. As Danielle has mentioned, it continues and it lives on now in a broader sense. It's impacted over 2,000 community members. We've distributed it through schools and the YMCA and libraries and the Girl Scouts and food pantries and farmers markets and any other community partners that RRI is connected to. It's been so fulfilling to see the impacts of this work, and I really am energized by the results and look forward to continuing in engagement. Thank you very much.
forget the money.
Please join me in one more round of applause for the Resilient Monroe Green Map Initiative. It is now my pleasure to introduce Adrienne Blow, Professor, Department of Human Development and Family Studies, College of Social Science, and recipient of the 2018 Michigan State University Community Engagement Scholarship Award and Distinguished Partnership Award for Community Engaged Research. Adrienne?
Well, hi, everyone. It's my great honor today to present this award, which represents life-saving work on the continent of Africa. The Distinguished Partnership Award for Community Engaged Research recognizes a university community partnership for significant, contextually responsive, scholarly, and impactful collaboration in inquiry and the discovery of new knowledge, and/or the development of new insights. This may be accomplished through community-based participatory research, participatory action research, applied research, contractual research that's either funded by government agencies, non-governmental organizations, or businesses, demonstration projects, assets and needs assessments, program evaluations, and other forms of collaborative participatory inquiry. In recognition of its commitment to eradicate Konzo disease in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, I'm very pleased to present the 2019 Distinguished Partnership Award for Community Engaged Research to MSU and INRB Against Konzo Disease, a global partnership to protect African children from toxic food. Accepting this award is Michael J. Boyven from the College of Osteopathic Medicine and his partner, and I'm going to try to pronounce this right, the Institut National de Recherche Biomédicale.
Well, I want to begin by recognizing the team, because to be competitive in the area of extramural funding in this day and age, you really need a top-notch team of research partners to compete for funding from the NIH, from the NSF, from other foundations that sponsor the kind of work that we've been doing in the prevention of Konzo disease in the Congo. I want to make sure to recognize, Ala Sikorsky, our clinical methodologist, a professor of biostatistics in the area of psychiatry. Itziar Familiar Lopez, an MD, PhD from Autonomous University of Mexico, Johns Hopkins University, now working with us in psychiatry. Her husband, Horacio Ricino Escudero, who can be here with us, unfortunately, this evening. Amara Eziamama, joining us in clinical epidemiology from University of Georgia, and with work, in the area of the epidemiology of neurodevelopmental development and disease across the lifespan. Felicia Wu couldn't be with us, but our nutritional food science specialist. Robert Tuke, who worked with me in Uganda on one of our NIH R01 grants in cognitive rehabilitation of kids surviving severe malaria. Jorma Wadu, early caregiver training, also from Uganda, now here in the doctoral program in educational and special needs children at Michigan State. Our dean, who's in the College of Osteopathic Medicine, recently appointed, Andy Amafitano. Congratulations on that recent appointment, and no better choice in terms of appreciating both research and a commitment to global health. I would be remiss if I didn't tell you where this started. I mean, you're seeing a rat runner who when I was working in behavioral neuroscience as a grad student and envisioning a future selling my soul to big pharmacology. The last thing I was thinking of was partnerships in Africa and for the well-being and protection of African children. But then I went and met my wife of 40-plus years, Grace, who's grew up in the Congo. Her father was a medical missionary, her mom a teacher. They developed a lot of public health programs. Her father, that is, after he lost the use of his left arm to polio, although he went there as a surgeon. And spent the next 34 years working together in developing public health. And in fact, ironically and yet fortuitously, my partner representing our Congo collaborations, Esperance, Kashala Bodne's father, founded the School of Public Health at the University of Kinshasa and pioneered that whole initiative within the medical science realm at the very time we were spending a year as a family, Grace and I, and our 4 children, at a small medical mission, 1991, at Fulbright project. I was the last Fulbrighter for about 20 years because of Civil War and upheavals. But at that time, we envisioned coming back to the Congo and working in the area of Konzo. It just took 20-plus years to finally get enough stability and the funding to do it. And here we are. And Michigan State University, on the leading edge of, as a land grant now, on the leading edge of a global grant. And I think one of the most important public health challenges facing Africa, though, doesn't get the spectacular press of, say, an Ebola outbreak or malaria or global HIV, but yet so many children at risk from toxicity and poorly processed cassava, manioc, which they have to subsist on for lack of other food options in the face of their ecological situation. So we've been fortunate enough to get funding. We're embedded within a much larger clinical trial program within the NIH, which our collaborative team has been instrumental in. We've recently received funding with Dr. Esperance here as the PI from the Grand Challenges Canada for training caregivers and strategies that we've already used and pioneered in Uganda, bringing some of that leadership in the field training of training caregivers and how to care for their children with HIV in better adherence to their medications, to nutrition, to enriching their early learning environments. And now Esperance is leading our teams and overseeing that work within Konzo outbreak areas, in rural areas of the Congo, in partnership with the Ministry of Health and their PRONANU, Promotion of Good Nutrition programs. So we've got a grant from Grand Challenges Canada to continue that work. We've also recently been designated for funding from the NIH, again with Dr. Esperance as a co-PI on that work. I just can't thank you enough for this university for giving us, giving me, giving our team, our college, the opportunity to do this work. And we're going to continue to do it with every ounce of strength we've got and make you proud of what we're doing in Africa. Esperance.
Yeah. I would like to thank Michigan State University and IIP for this award in the name of the population in Congo, particularly the people in Kahemba who are affected by the Konzo. I mean, this partnership has helped a number of children, a number of women. I'm a bit moved when thinking about them, but what this university has done for them, it's something very wonderful. So I would like to thank all of you, Michael and his family, and Michigan State University. Thank you very much.
want to add that in addition to receiving the Distinguished Partnership Award for Community Engaged Research, this remarkable collaboration is also the recipient of the university's 2019 Community Engagement Scholarship Award, for which Dr. Boyven and the Institut National de Recherche Biomédicale were recently recognized at the All University Awards convocation. Please join me again in congratulating the partners for their global partnership to protect African children from toxic food.
It's so meaningful to have our community partners here to be able to speak about these partnerships. Our final award of the ceremony is the Michigan State University Community Engagement Scholarship Lifetime Achievement Award, which recognizes individuals of outstanding and sustained accomplishment in community-engaged scholarship through research, creative activity, teaching, and/or service and practice over the span of a career. Given the special nature of this distinction, it's not expected to be an annual award, but will be conferred only on those occasions in which the extraordinary accomplishments of an engaged scholar so warrant it. Today is such an occasion. Those accomplishments belong to Carl S. Taylor, Professor, Department of Sociology, College of Social Science. We've asked a representative colleague and partner of Dr. Taylor to say a few words about his accomplishments and career as an engaged scholar. Please join me in welcoming Thomas M. Dietz, University Distinguished Professor of Sociology and Environmental Science and Policy, and Jean Warford, Program Officer, W.K. Kellogg Foundation.
This is perhaps the most joyful occasion I've known in my years at MSU. We're here to honor Carl for a lifetime of extraordinary accomplishments. Honoring Carl honors MSU as well, for in recognizing Carl, the university affirms its understanding of what true engagement means. If you pay attention to Carl, you learn why he is such a remarkable leader. I have never met a more acute observer of people. He sees who people are, he understands where they come from, and what that means for their situation. He's acutely attentive to the dynamics of groups and where things are going, and most important, how directions can shift towards the positive. All that would make Carl an insightful social scientist, and he is that. He is one of our leading scholars on the challenging problem of youth gangs. His work on young women in gangs is pioneering, opening our minds to a much neglected problem. But beyond analysis, Carl brings to even the most difficult situation a commitment to make things better and the courage to engage. Along with his insight and courage, there's a third quality that underpins Carl's immense contributions to community engagement and scholarship: his remarkable ability to communicate in new and creative ways. Dr. King said, "The function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education," end quote. That is what Carl strives for in every interaction, getting others to reflect on what is going on, to think critically, to see a vision for the future. Of course, he's put in countless hours in meetings, in negotiations, in conversations in the offices of power, and in the church basements, and on the street corners. But he's always finding new ways to engage, to make his engagement, taking his engagement to people where they are. Recently, he's created a remarkable series of videos called After Class, in which diverse groups of youth express their views on the issues most important to them. These shows provide wonderful insights into what contemporary youth are thinking. And then, of course, there are the marvelous one-minute Dr. Professor animations that I think some of you have seen. In his work, as he communicates across generations, he never loses himself. Carl brings both his history and great humility to the conversation. Even this week, he used the occasion of his old friend Umar Hassan correcting him on grammar as a teaching moment. As many of you know, Hassan is an accomplished poet, author, artist, and former football star. Carl welcomed the correction and used it to help his undergraduates think. To quote Carl, "To tell you the raw truth despite what you want to hear, that is much more valuable in the reality of the world we live in today. We have an exchange that is critical to true learning. Not old school versus new school, old school and new school balanced to help us all. The commitment to courageous and constructive engagement is in Carl's soul. If you read Dr. Wharton's autobiography, you will see, and we'll hear from Dr. Wharton as I understand it in a few moments. If you read his autobiography, even as an undergraduate, Carl was a peacemaker striving for progress, and he demonstrated what Dr. Wharton called a low-key but forceful leadership style. Carl is best known for his work with youth, but his compassion and empathy are boundless. He draws our attention to the challenges faced by elders of our communities and also to their wisdom. He has been a pioneer in articulating the plight of companion animals in troubled neighborhoods and the tragedy of dogfighting. And he's been a central figure in MSU's one-of-a-kind animal studies program. For him, a community spans boundaries of age, gender identity, class, race, and species. It is no wonder, after decades of engagement, he is so trusted and beloved. I appreciate personally the coincidences, or perhaps it's karma, that have allowed me to know him and be his friend. We're the same age. We joined the sociology department at the same time. We both grew up in working-class neighborhoods. Back then, in my neighborhood in northeastern Ohio, Detroit was the dominant cultural influence in the region. We all looked to Detroit. Thanks to the powerful FM radio stations of the 60s, some of them pirate stations across the river in Windsor, I too was listening to the incredible explosion of Motown in my teen years. To close, I want to quote a philosopher and poet Carl and I both love. I want to ask a question. Who really cares? To save a world in despair, who really cares? And one answer to Marvin Gaye's question is, of course, Carl Taylor.
She kept me from falling, so maybe we get all that out the way before we get started. I am really honored to be able to bring comments on behalf of the community as Dr. Taylor receives this esteemed Lifetime Achievement Award. When he asked me if I would be willing to bring comments, I was so excited. I called everybody I knew that knew Carl, and then I started calling people who didn't know Carl to tell them why they should know him. And I have gathered stories and opinions and thoughts and all kinds of little tidbits that I was prepared to share with you. But this committee has been very humbling. They told me, you have 5 minutes, and we have a timekeeper. So once I became aware of my dilemma, I had some hard decisions that I had to make. Do I talk about the hundreds of writings and publications and articles that he's written, the numerous awards that he's received, or just the sheer nature of his intellectual gravitas? This allows him to walk in many worlds: community, education, service, teaching, nationally and internationally. Dr. Taylor is global. I landed on Dr. Carl Taylor, the master educator, as he has been called by many, and most recently my friend Sue Hamilton Smith, a community warrior. She went on to say he's always teaching, not just in the classroom, but everywhere he goes. Sometimes he's sharing the words and experiences of those who have come before him, and sometimes he's bringing powerful lessons from the street that would never be heard without a bridge person. In education terms, we would say there's an espoused theory or platform or an actual one. Now, we all know that usually there's a disconnect. People say one thing and they do another. But in the community, we describe Dr. Taylor as the master because he walks the walk. He says and does. What he says and does is consistent, and they're always connected. As a student here on campus in Michigan State, a class of 1978. Any 1978 people out here? All right, there we go. Woo! I would often hear about students struggling, and then someone would speak up and say, you ought to send them over to talk to Carl Taylor. Next thing you know, there was a little less bid whist card playing and a little bit more going to class. I think there's a whole cohort of African Americans that owe their success today to this man, Dr. Taylor. I am Facebook friends with his brother Virgil. And as I was looking, I saw a meme. And for those people from my generation, we called them posters. And ironically, they put them on a wall. And I researched the meme and said, what's the origin of this? And it led me to a life coach, a young man, Alexandria DeHire. And on his page, he asked this question, is what makes human beings flourish? And he used the analogy of when a flower doesn't bloom, you fix the environment, not the flower. And I'm telling you that Dr. Taylor has been doing this for decades. He has been working diligently through his research, through creative teaching, and work in the community to fix the environment so that children and youth can thrive. In the late 90s, I was executive director of a nonprofit in the heart of Detroit when gang violence was at its epic proportions. One day, the youth rushed into my office and they said, they're planning a big shootout tomorrow. They were terrified, and so was I. I reached out to Dr. Taylor. He called me back with a sense of urgency. He didn't have to check his calendar. He didn't go through any channels. He didn't make me jump through fiery hoops. He said, okay, calm down. We're going to handle this. He worked to plot out a strategy. And the long and short of it is that he worked with the police department. He worked with the school system. He worked with the gangs. And he never will know how many flowers he impacted on that day. He created a safe space for youth who were just trying to go to school. And that he also helped to develop the basis for a trust between youth and adults. We are so grateful for Dr. Taylor and his selfless work. There are many other stories I could have told you about, but this stood out in my mind as a biblical moment. I tell you, it was like he was walking on water. Now, you know the analogy. Jesus was walking on water, and he was telling Peter, look at me, look at me, look at me. You look down, he was sinking, but look at me, look at me. And he kept me focused. He said, let's not go down that road. He kept me focused. He helped to calm my nerves. But that's because he brought not only his intellectual gravitas, his understanding of people and his caring for children into this work. He was able to walk in the world with the police, the community, and the gangs, and he brought about a positive solution. I did a survey of his friends and his colleagues, and regardless of the stories that they shared, they all contained these words: loyal, passionate, committed, supportive, impactful, and a master. Dr. Taylor, I don't know where your next journey will take you, but taken from the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., may you continue to use the power of your pen and your voice in all the worlds that you travel to be a drum major for justice and youth. And as my minister says at the end of all of his sermons, may the road rise to meet you, may the wind always be at your back, and may the sun always shine on your face. We are very proud of you, and congratulations on this award.
There is another observer of our recipient's career who wanted to be with us today to convey a personal message about Dr. Taylor's contributions in community engaged scholarship. Unfortunately, he could not join us. But I am pleased to read the following remarks from President Emeritus Dr. Clifton R. Wharton, Jr., who served as president of Michigan State University from 1970 to 1978. Michigan State, the pioneer land-grant college, has always been true to its mission. In 1855, it was dedicated to the then underserved segments of society through research, teaching, and extension. The key to MSU's greatness then and now has always been a superb faculty. With its outstanding academic talent in widespread areas of knowledge, its faculty has been the heart of the enterprise. Today, you are honoring an outstanding faculty member whose career at MSU exemplifies my point. As some of you are aware, Carl was in the first group of my presidential fellows in 1970. Under this program, based upon the White House Fellows Program, the participants spent several months shadowing me to learn what it was like to be a university president. They attended all my meetings, drafted response correspondence, and participated in biweekly workshops where they could interrogate me confidentially on why and how I was performing. Carl, with his strong learning gene, soaked up the experience. When he finished his BS, I appointed him as the director of the Minority Student Resident Assistant Program in the MSU dorms, where he proved an invaluable colleague. With an MS and PhD degree from MSU, Carl joined the faculty to begin his 25-year faculty service. Thus began his pioneering research on urban gangs that won critical acclaim nationally and internationally. A prolific author and speaker, he's in demand for his insights in the problems of youth and violence. Throughout his career, Carl has been committed to understanding human behavior among marginalized groups. His research and community involvement have invariably focused on issues or problems, seeking truth or solutions, not personal academic aggrandizement. In his teaching, as in his research, he has always set the highest standards of excellence, empathy, and integrity. On a professional and personal level, I confess that I have treasured and valued my long relationship with Carl for almost 50 years. Dolores and I applaud his life and career. We're proud to pay tribute to his lifelong dedication to a just society. We salute Carl on winning the MSU Community Engagement Scholarship Lifetime Achievement Award. Congratulations. In recognition of an exemplary career of accomplishments and impacts on both scholarship and the public good, I am pleased to present the Michigan State University Community Engagement Scholarship Lifetime Achievement Award to Dr. Carl S. Taylor.
Needless to say, I'm overwhelmed. I've been fighting tears for the last 10 minutes. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the University Outreach and Engagement Program for putting this together. Burton, Lori, and of course, the great Hy Fitzgerald. Hy has always been very straightforward with me, like I pride myself in being straightforward with everybody. Once upon a time, I had a report to Hy, and I said to him, I've been sent to you by the president, and I'm reporting to you. And Hy looked at me and said, yeah, right. About as much as you report to anybody. I report to a higher source, I want to thank many in this room. But most importantly, I want to thank you for the day I got the letter, Lori. I didn't believe the letter was the letter. I had a political person send a letter to me that they wanted me to be on this committee. It had been a political person, and so I get it out the way. I'm apolitical. I'm neither Republican or Democrat. Right, Dre? I'm just me. And so I said, he must have made a big mistake because he sure couldn't have meant to appoint me. When I got your letter, really? I went to my family, to my wife, to my son. I don't know about this. Those who know me really well know that I can be very profane. Those who know me very well know that I'm not always the most charitable guy. And those who know me the most know that my heart bleeds, not simply for my children in Flint, Detroit, and Southeast Michigan. My heart bleeds for the children on borders in Africa, in Russia, everywhere. I had great parents. The myth of the missing father is just that, a myth. My father passed when I was 13 years old, and I pray every day that if I can be half the man that my father was, I'd be a hell of a man. I have to thank so many, and I know about the 5 minutes, and Bert is sitting there, so I'll give you the expressway, the short one. I want to thank my great family, my only brother in the world that I love and cherish, who keeps me in check, who talks to me any time in the morning when the darkness comes. And darkness does come. Many days I felt that my work was useless. I see Dr. June, I remember him stopping me after a conference one day. He's a very strong religious man, one that I admire. Don't always get along, we would have these little scuffles, but one that I always respected. And he asked me, he said, Carl, you seem to be carrying a burden. And as you notice, Lee, I'm still carrying the burden. It's not going to leave me. That burden is what gives me my charge. This evening I had more surprises when I looked around and there was my beautiful niece from South Carolina and I didn't know she was here. I was knocked out. I look at my frat brothers who I give complete hell. They want me to endorse this and endorse that, and I'm like, I'm so beyond that. That's something I did when I was 17 years old. And I did not join for service. I joined to meet women and to party. But I've learned much more. I've had a very small group of comrades from the MSU alumni, from James Weathers, who was a wretched militant at 18 years old, Dew Perry and Byron. I have all these guys in this room right now. And who would ever thought 70 years old? I can't get it. I can't get my arms around it. I work in a wonderful department that understands me. I can't thank you enough having a distinguished professor like Thomas Dietz to introduce me. But to my other colleagues in sociology that put up with me, even though I know many times God, I'd like to knock his ass out. I know that. I see my good friend, Nwanda Ashebe. She's no sorry. It's an honor to have you here. We're now working with her, with a master teacher from Detroit, Janice Riley. Janice Riley's father just passed. He was one of those old heads that was very close to me. And this Saturday I will go, despite what doctors told me, I will go to his memorial service and I will speak. Because I gave my word. And where I came from, the way I was raised, my word means everything. So in my office, we've been a one-person attack with Pamela Smith helping me. So many people to thank. I can't thank enough. See, Paulette Granberry, I've cried on her. Cried on Terry Curry back there. I've cried on everybody in this damn room. I have. It's a lot of nerve to cry when you can be so damn, I just call it what it is, black evil sometimes, because I hurt that bad. But I'm very thankful for MSU. I had an incident which I will not reveal because I see my chair standing there, and my chair is a new chair, but a very good chair because I didn't think we were going to get along. I got to be honest with you, I really didn't think we would, but we ended up getting along quite well. So I'm going to wrap it up. It's more than honor, it's humbling. When Cliff Wharton, who took me under his wings, and he's 92 years old, and he's just as fluid today, that's remarkable because I'm 69 and I don't seem so fluid and so forth. But when Cliff Wharton writes for you, you have the likes of this powerful organization. Recognizing community is very important. Jean wasn't with Kellogg when I first got with her. She was out there in the trenches. Grace Episcopal Church on 12th Street, that's where I was a Cub Scout. That's where the riot started, the insurrection. I can't pay back the debt, but what I can do and I will do, I see Wyatt Trott there. His father was my frat brother, but Wyatt is a new, amazing professor that I talk to all the time. I see Chico there, who's always been one to talk to me, because a lot of times nobody wants to talk to me. It's like I'm the crow under the bridge. I can't say enough about Dr. Gunnins, and I was teasing her. I won't tell her because she's still beautiful. But I remember when she was little and I used to cut her hair, because that's what I used to do. I used to cut hair through the school. And I laugh at Terry Curry because despite my big-ass bald head, I used to have a lot of hair, and I used to cut hair all the way through school. And no, I didn't go to barbering school. And no, I didn't want to be paid with a marijuana stick or Negro, I'll get with you later. But the family at MSU, both the cultural family of what was important to us, that we policed ourselves, but also the multicultural family of Latinos and Asians and others, to bring me out of the dark age of being homophobia, to understand, to listen to people that are not like me, to remember people like Laura Baltimore, whose brother was the first black band leader who was unfortunately murdered, and she still gives so much to the black alumni. All of these folks are my family, and I appreciate them. The last thing I have to say, besides my lovely wife, Linda and Tom were not only my colleagues, they're my dear friends. When my baby walked in, my baby is Gene, and I looked at him, and he won't remember this room, because I spoke in this room one time to a group, and he was right here playing with his rockets. And I'm like, Gene, shh. And the keynote speaker is trying to do it, and he's walking here now, a grown man that I love dearly. I can't say enough. Thank each and every one of you in here. To all the previous folks, your projects are amazing. They mean a lot. You're lucky because you can put your hand, the young man from Detroit, you can put your hand on what you're doing. I've had many days in the past months that were dark and gloomy. I didn't think anyone was listening to me. I told my editors I'm not finishing this book because nobody reads my book. Nobody gives a damn about what I'm doing. I've had pep talks. I've had intervention from my bastard friends who want to get me back on my feet. None of that works. The only thing that works is a higher force. And it happens in mysterious ways. The mysterious way was that letter from Outreach and Engagement that said, the crowd, somebody's listening. I thank you, and I am humble, and I wish you all well. I'm not holding up too tight.
All right, so please join me in a final round of applause for all of these most worthy recipients. I would also like to thank each of you who made the effort to attend the third annual Michigan State University Outreach and Engagement Awards ceremony. Your presence here honors your colleagues, their community partners, and our shared efforts to address challenges and improve the quality of life for all. And I also want to thank the amazing team in Outreach and Engagement, Communication Information Technology who's put on this event. Thank you. I don't do anything, they all do it. Lastly, thank you for the entertainment provided by the Pure Winds Quintet, a woodwind quintet based in Lansing, Michigan, composed of Michigan State University graduate students. Now please join us for a reception honoring the recipients. Thank you.